am by no means a master of myself or anything else in this world. I'm just like everybody else, I'm asking questions. But we have to have a base level of communication. We have to be able to have that line of communication. People talk about divide and rule, and yet they miss where they're adding and being part of that divide and rule, right? Because this topic's objective. There should be no emotional bias, there should be no subjective bias in this. So there is no need for splinter groups to form, there is no need for people to wander off in factions and start slinging shit at other factions. If you can't simply communicate and convey your communication through the use of practicality, then we're forever going to be lost. Look at the communication now. The communication has went totally batshit crazy. This whole globe earth, flat earth online thing is an absolute circus. It's a total and utter shit show. And you see that this is still going on. You know, the types of people that advocate for these debates and that go to these debates are the types of people who don't want progress. They just want to be in some little cult bias, to be a cheerleader for whoever they elect as an authority in their camp, and to perpetually cheerlead. It's like people that go to the football match every weekend and hate and love every week, and it's just perpetual. It never changes anything, nothing's changing. There's no progress going to be made there. Again, I tried to, try and reach some line of communication, and the question I asked was, have you ever went out and tried to establish that there's a downward vector? Just a simple question. Everybody's under this assumption that there is a downward vector. We've seen it, globe earth's told you your whole life. We've now got flat earthers telling you it and standing by it blindly. And it's a simple question. Have you ever went out and tried to establish if there truly is a downward vector? That question's met immediately by a triggered response. Hatred. And then because hatred is being seen, there's other little, minions who want to jump in a line with somebody who's spewing hatred in your direction, that want to hate on a man or a woman, the subjective being, rather than dealing with the content that's put on the table. And again, not one of these people have ever brought the content up, analysed it, done the tests themselves, and gave their conclusions. If you cannot ask a simple question like, have you ever established that there truly is a physical downward vector, and you get triggered responses, there is no hope for these people in regards to any form of line of communication. And it's a very salient and powerful point that I encourage every single one of you. Maybe you don't fully comprehend the position, but I'm going to put that question to you right now. You assume maybe, you've been told that there is a physical downward vector. That means that there's a motion in that direction, a physical motion in that direction. Go and see if you can establish if that's actually the case. Again, flat earthers are very quick to jump and say things appear, like a globe earther says that, the curve of the earth is seen at the horizon where the sky and the ground meet. That's the curve of the earth when you can see no further. And your flat earther saying, but it just appears like that, that's just the appearance. Well, it's the very same on the supposed downward vector. It's an apparent thing, not a physical thing. And again, I've highlighted this over the years so many times. The globe earth is solely based in vision, not physics. There is no physics to support a globe earth. It only exists as visual interpretations and religious text. The same now is happening with these flat earthers, who are contradicting themselves by saying to the globe earth things are apparent, and then somebody like me comes along and says, well, downwards vector isn't apparent, it's not physical, and they don't want to know. This is, I'm saying again, about communication and language. A real number has been done on people with language and words, which is why it's vitally important that you agree upon first principles with people. Things again that we spoke about here in the past. We have to find the common ground of what we're utilising to reason with each other. and have an acceptance there, so that when anybody wanders off that path, we can bring it back and say, listen, you're now wandering away from what we agreed upon. You know, and again we look at things like, well, what does level mean? Level is an orientation, just like horizontal. Horizontal and level can be used synonymously, but no flat. Level is an orientation. Level is the perpendicular to the plumb. The plumb line is the true point of reference, because all plumb lines are parallels regardless of where you are. Any practical engineer will tell you that. All practical engineers take plumbs as parallels. From the plumb, you now have orientation, because the plumb shows you the true vector. Level now is an orientation perpendicular to the motion vector, because that's what a vector is, motion. So you get these flat earthers running about making all sorts of silly statements. This is where you get to the root of it. You know, when people are talking about geometry and stuff, you know, you have to have a reference point. If you hang a plumb line, you know, now you've got a reference point. Now you can take a level perpendicular to that, and from above your plumb line now becomes the point. Right? And now you can construct geometric principles. Now you can work from, you know, what we call geometry. Right? But it has to come from something real, and that's where it comes from. Level comes from the plumb. You have to be aware that there's groups out here that's their sole purpose, is to sow division, to try and make sure communication is never there between parties. Right? They're trying to make it about people, individuals. And you see their behaviour, running about the place, trying to demonise a man's character. And all we're sitting here then is trying to talk about the objective world that we share, and the processes, the reasoning processes that we utilise in order to try and establish what that is. As I say, these people were on board, or seem to be on board with that, and now it doesn't suit them, and now you can see the irrationality in their behaviour, telling you that they never grasped it in the first place, and now view themselves as some super authority on the matter, when they don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Water being level is the result of a force acting. Force is motion. So there's motion to the earth, that's why water's level. If you can't simply communicate and convey your communication through the use of practicality, then we're forever going to be lost.